Hi guys, welcome to the video. What we're going to talk about today is alternative energy sources. The very first thing in the book, in chapter 20, when it talks about this, is they're very popular. Alternative energy sources are very popular, meaning that in this day and age, people are looking for ways to create power that are not fossil fuels. Okay, and there's a tendency for folks to think bad, good. Okay. So fossil fuels, bad. Anything else, good. Well, it's not always the case directly, all right? You can find good and bad in everything, okay? So the most common, or one of the most common forms of alternative energy, especially at the lower levels, maybe not at the power company levels, but it's certainly individual facility level, would be arguably solar. Okay, so chapter 20 of the book on page 377 has a pretty interesting chart about the good and the bad. Okay, funny thing is they have 5 advantages of solar power and 8 disadvantages. All right, so let's go ahead and look at some of these. All right, first one is sunshine is free. All right, you don't have to pay for sun; it's there. All right. The flip side of that is it's not free at night. And it's not obtainable at night, right? So it is definitely depending on the time of the year, a 12-hour fuel source or energy source to 8-hour. Some places 4 hours in the wintertime. Some places 20 hours in the summertime. So, but or winter, depends on where you fall. But anyway, so you have to have the sun for it to be effective. So the next advantage is the panels are quiet. They have no emissions. All right, it's not like they're chugging out a byproduct of carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide or anything like that. They don't. It's just sun. They're very, very passive in their appearance, where they're just there, they're doing their thing, and they're doing nothing else. Okay. I'm going to continue on now with the advantages and then go back to the disadvantages. Customers and employees appreciate the fact that you're doing something, right? And it's very visible that you're doing something. You know, this can almost be, greenwashing, in the fact that you throw up some solar panels and say, hey, look at us, we're doing something for the community. The bottom line is, if you do it for any reason, there's going to be that effect, because people are going to see it, all right? So if that's your only reason to do it, then yeah, okay. But if the thing is why not to take advantage of that? Is if you're doing something, people see it, and that gives them a good reaction to you, all right? You may be able to go off the grid. You might, the thought of not having to be in the circle or whatever, to be committed to the power company, is very appealing to some. All right. Next one is electricity generated by solar panels can reduce your electrical demands during high peaks. All right. You might not be completely off the grid, but you might have solar as a backup or solar as an augmentation. That we talked in earlier chapters about the demand charges and stuff, which can be very expensive, and having that solar lessening your usage so that your demand fees are non-existent, or at least reduced. All right. Now, the cool thing about this is very often peak is lunchtime. All right. Well, what's usually out during the lunchtime, and that's the sun. So that works out well. So let's talk about some of the disadvantages. The systems are extremely expensive to install. Okay, it's getting better, but it's not as getting as better and good as people like you to believe. All right, but it is getting better. Okay, so next is these systems. The panels themselves need to be cleaned and maintained. Very often, because we want to put them out of the way and put them on roofs or places that are inaccessible, all right, or difficult to to access. Excuse me. Right. So yes, they're great where you can put them away and forget about them, but you can't forget about them. Okay, so that's something that's a disadvantage. All right, and nothing can be forgotten about. So some of these disadvantages are common with any other fuel energy source. All right, the panels themselves are expensive to replace. So you lose a panel, it's expensive to replace. Now here's the thing. Now when we start getting into we do things to make ourselves feel good, that we're doing something for our environment, but we are on one end, but are we on the front end? And the manufacturer of these things is not always that environmentally friendly. Okay, so the panels are manufactured using many rare earth minerals, hazardous chemicals, while making them clean electricity. The process of making them is anything but clean. Right? Same thing with electric batteries in cars. The stuff that goes into those batteries is really hazardous, and the mining practices for some of those materials is not good. So anyway, sunlight reflecting off shiny panels can create nuisances for air travel and for cars and stuff. I myself have been blinded by solar panels driving down the road, so that is a disadvantage. Storage requires a battery. And the same thing I was talking about with the electric cars. Those batteries are not all that environmentally friendly to create or to dispose of, especially to dispose of. All right. So, and there's one that I wanted to address that's not in the book, and that is the many municipalities, areas make it illegal for you to go off the grid. All right. If you're in any kind of city or town, you're not going to be able to put up panels and just be completely self-sufficient in your electricity. They won't allow it, right? Because the power companies, and it's not, and a lot of people, they're just greedy power companies, and there might be some truth to that. But the bottom line is they are committed to creating this electricity, and it is a big commitment to them. There's a lot involved to create that electricity. And when everybody, some of the big users, right, go off of that, they still have to maintain all that stuff. They still have to produce electricity for those who can't afford to have solar panels on their house. So when we think about it, well, it's just greed, or, screw them, screw the power company. What you're really doing is saying you're screwing the guy who lives in an apartment or lives in a little trailer that can't afford a solar panel. Okay, so that is why many places they don't allow you to go completely off grid. All right, so that's a lot of this is my opinion or my viewpoint. If you have a different viewpoint, that's fine. If we have the opportunity to discuss this, just support it and make an argument, and that's fine. However, so I believe that's all I'm going to talk. The chapter touches on a lot of other things. Wind power. I definitely have opinions on wind power. And a lot of people have some serious opinions on wind power. The idea that is free energy is completely false. The expense of putting up some of those towers or turbines almost never gets covered by the electricity they generate. Right? And there's a lot of other things. If you're truly an environmentalist, what wind power is claimed. Well, people claim what wind turbines do to the immediate environment, as far as the animals and things like that. A lot of people think that it's really bad, and there's different arguments. There's lack of definitive proof, or it's discounted, or whatever. But whatever you feel on that, wind power is an alternative. And hydropower, which we think, well, just use water. That's great. Well, the environmental impact on that would be, to create it, you have to dam something. And when you dam, you create a pond where there wasn't a pond. Now, 150 years ago, 100 years ago, that was very common practice and nobody cared. No, we got a new lake. Now we start to look at that and say, creating lakes where they aren't supposed to be, is that the best thing for the world? All right. And so I'm not saying it is or isn't. I don't really know. All right. There are some that are a little bit better. There's the ones that are, I believe it's called surf, but they have turbines in the surf, and when the water waves go in and out, it creates electricity. You're not having to dam anything. So that, to me, sounds like one of the better ones, but it's expensive. And it's offshore, so that you have all of the infrastructure getting the electricity to the shore. So there's always there's always a plus and minus. And there's many others. There's thermal energy, geothermal energy. Well, that's great. If I live over a volcano, I let the volcano power my house or warm my house, right? Well, you live over a volcano. And I mean, that's oversimplifying it. But anyway, and there's many others. And hopefully we'll get to the point where these existing ones will be refined to the point that these disadvantages go away, or we'll find something new. And I mean, in my mind, I personally feel that there's something out there that we're not considering. And I'm not smart enough to find it, and apparently no one else is either. But anyway, so it is a serious issue. I would definitely recommend, as a facilities manager, to look into certain things, but be very careful before you pull the trigger on investing in solar power or wind turbines or anything like that, because they can be good on paper and not so much in reality, or vice versa, or just everything's got a disadvantage. So you just compare options with the pros and cons to everything to make the right decision. Okay, so that's in a nutshell. Most of it, I apologize if some of this came across as opinion, but we all have them. All right, so we'll see you next week.